gonna die. Going too fast. I'm taking 3.
I'm going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course. And today we are going to take a look at a replay in the Tirpitz. Yes, it's been a while since we took a look at the replay in the Tirpitz. Still loving the Tirpitz, obviously. Great old German battleship. Little different, you know, as we know, to the German Bismarck that we now have in game. Obviously, the Bismarck has better secondary armament, and the Tirpitz does not. The Bismarck also has no torpedoes, where the Tirpitz does have torpedoes. And those torpedoes do make a bit of a difference at time. It's almost like if you were to compare a Scharnhorst to a Gneisenau in terms of differences, except of course Gneisenau also gets torpedoes. But anyway, you can see we are in Two Brothers, grouped up today with Invert and Salazar. Invert is in his Hipper, and we have Salazar in the Benson. We did spawn over on the east, so it made sense for us to head over to the east. The real plan on the east is obviously, at least what I thought, it was going to be a defense, because I figured that the majority of the enemy team would most likely come to the east, and the majority of my team, considering they spawned on the west, would most likely push down the west side. So on the east, I was fully prepared to mount a defense, is what I was looking to do. Now, the division makeup here, I really do enjoy. I did enjoy it as well. Having the three different classes of ships. I know there's 4 classes, but I'm not counting CVs right now. The 3 different classes of ships. Having like a cruiser, a destroyer, and a battleship in a division who are working together very well is really, really important, and it can actually really be beneficial. Because, you know, in this situation, essentially what Salazar is going to be doing is Salazar is going to be screening me, but also spotting for me as well, so that I can get, you know, some shots in on things that may not be able to shoot back at me, or maybe not or have spotted me as of yet. So this is good. And on top of that as well, I do have the destroyer protection that Salazar brings to the table here as well. So if any enemy destroyers do happen to pop up in my face and Salazar is nearby, I can at least count on that support. Now, to the same token, we do also have cruiser support here in terms of the Hipper, and we can count on the Hipper to provide some heavy hitting armor piercing shots. So hopefully getting some heavy hits down range, right? That's what we could hope for. Enemies start popping up, put some shots down range, land a few hits there on the Thotgor. Not sure how much damage, but it probably wasn't a whole lot anyway. We see the Frederick de Gross off in the background, German Tier 9 battleship, maybe? Yeah, I think it is the Tier 9, because this is a Tier 10 battle, but we have a Zhao and a Tier 10 destroyer, and the enemy have a Des Moines and a Tier 10 destroyer, I believe. It's the only 2 Tier 10, so yeah, that's the Tier 9 German battleship. Which actually, you know, I'd be looking forward to. You know, I've talked about enough, I guess, but I haven't been grinding battleships, not really a big thing for me. But I have actually been considering getting the Izumo. I have it all. I'm only a few million credits away. Yeah, I might buy it. Why the hell not? I mean, I do really want a Yamato. That you know, goes without saying. It's just it's not high on the old priority. Frankly, if I could, I'd get the Moskva, but that is so far away in terms of experience that I think I should just buy a ship, you know, now that I can, and then end up saving for the Moskva later. But anyway, more enemies are popping up. We do see the enemy Des Moines there off in the background as well. We are going to try and get some shots off on the player, hopefully, but we can see the Des Moines does shoot behind the island. I'm going to fire off anyway, you know, just kind of shoot those off over the island. Hopefully they'll hit and do a bit of damage there. And taking a look around, we do see more enemy battleships. So no surprise here, the enemies do seem to have gone to the east side, to the west side, like I suspected. So we are going to try and do a defense. Now, luckily as well for us, we do actually have the A point, which is fantastic. And I landed a nice citadel hit there on the Des Moines as well, which isn't too bad at all either. We have the enemy North Carolina over there going bow on. You're not going to be able to do that much longer, friend. But anyway, going bow on, and we're just going to put shots into him. You can see my ally Izumo there did run into 2 enemy torpedoes, which was a little tragic, but it did end up saving me from having to take any torpedoes, which is fantastic. So I see Salazar over there, and he's fighting it out with that destroyer, so I'm going to try and get make my way over into that direction, as long as I can do it without, you know, taking a bunch of damage, because I will be sailing broadside essentially to these enemies, but I wanted to get over there into a better position to be able to help Salazar out a little more. more and to provide a little more close support. I know he's fighting a destroyer, but still, I've got some great secondaries, and if I do manage to get within the secondary range of the Tirpitz, then I can go ahead and start utilizing those. Now, the range on the secondary guns on the Tirpitz, what is the range? I want to say it's 5.7. But I'm not 100% sure on that. I do have the captain ability, actually. Ooh, you know what I don't think I have? It just comes to me. Maybe I don't have advanced firing training on it. Yeah, maybe that's a problem. But whatever. It's still not going to be as good as the Bismarck. The Bismarck is where it's at. 10.3 or 10.4 kilometers, something ridiculous like that is what you can reach out to with your secondaries. But still, if I can get close enough and my secondaries start opening up, I've got enough of them that they are going to do a bit of damage. Plus, I can always count on my torpedoes. That should work out as well. We can see the enemies are making some moves in on A. So again, playing the defense here, right? We're not too keen to push forward. And if we look at the minimap, we note that all of my allied ships who are over here on the west with myself, we are all staying in the north and just firing down on the enemies, right? We've got our destroyers out front who are launching off torpedoes, and we've got the battleships in the background who are dealing out the damage. And this is basically all we really want to do, because again, if we reference the minimap, we'll notice that our allies on the east have capped the point and are pushing beyond the point. In fact, they are now putting pressure on the south. So really, we have no business in trying to push this point at this very time. Not going to benefit us whatsoever. If we can just continue to dish out damage on these enemies here, this would be for the best, right? Let our allies who are coming in from the south, who are flanking the enemies, let those guys get in position, get a few flanking shots in, and then we'll see what the enemy does. Will the enemy continue their push, or are they going to split and turn and try and, you know, fend off our allies who are making moves on them? Whatever it's going to be, it doesn't matter. It's going to be to our advantage, because we won't have to face all of the enemies all at once like we are now. So great, getting myself turned around again, you know, not gonna push in. I'm just gonna basically, I mean, I've been driving and sailing in circles this entire battle, which is basically all I ever do. But it works out so well for me. I mean, the enemies don't seem to fire at me, which is fantastic. They're always like, oh, you know, that guy's at a bad angle, because usually that's what's going to determine whether or not an enemy is going to fire at you, right? It's, well, what's the closest target, and is that target, you know, presenting a good angle for me to be able to get some shots in? And so if you're always in a turn, or if you're always moving around and presenting crazy angles to the enemies, you know, they're not always going to take shots off on you. Now, obviously, this is not a universal rule. This is very, very subjective. And I wouldn't guarantee it whatsoever, no. But it does happen. It has been known to happen, and we can kind of see it happening in this battle as well, right? Where I just haven't been taking very much damage at all. The enemies put a few shots into me, yeah, sure. But then they quickly switch over to another one of my allies who maybe is presenting a better angle towards that enemy, offering the opportunity to dish out more damage. So here we go. We have the Tier 9 German battleship. Now, I have to admit I was fairly afraid at this point in time, because the German battleship is, you know, he's pretty close to me, and it's a hard-hitting ship. I mean, all the German battleships really are really hard-hitting. So I didn't want this guy to just sort of look at me and delete like half of my health. Luckily, once again, though, I do have allies in the, you know, surrounding area who are helping me out here. And you can see Frederick de Gross is not actually looking at me. No. Fantastic. And one of my allies as well is, you know, dishing out the damage. Now finally we can see Frederick de Gross does start to look at me, and we do have some torpedoes coming. So this was, oh, it was going to be a lot worse. I was sure I was going to take 3 torpedoes there, but yeah, 2 torpedo hits, all right. I mean, it is a bit of damage. I still have about half health. You know, we should still be able to take down this de Gross here, though, and, you know, get ourselves our first kill anyway. We can see the secondary batteries on the Frederick opening up on me. Those are deadly, so I did want to bring down this player as quick as possible. The main thing I was worried about was fires, right? My repairs on cooldown for a minute 10 there. I didn't want to have a fire set and have that burn the whole time. That would just suck. Anyway, managed to take down the enemy battleship, so that's fantastic. We see an enemy destroyer that has come up here to the northern point. This enemy destroyer has obviously pushed through the channel, so we are going to have to do something about the player. Now, I do have allies in the northern point here who are, you know, engaging this enemy destroyer, which is fantastic. I've got shots coming in on the enemy destroyer as well, so together we managed to take down the enemy destroyer and neutralize the threat, so we don't need to worry about any more crazy enemies coming up that channel. Fantastic. Consulting the minimap, we notice that the allies managed to take the southern cap, so this is great. All of the enemies remaining are now sort of all balled up over here on the east side. Important to note on Two Brothers like this, when you are in this fantastic, actually, I think it was Invert who was laughing at me at that point because I wasn't paying attention at all. You could tell, and I just plowed straight into that North Carolina, and he was wondering what I was doing. But anyway, on Two Brothers, when you get into this situation, right, and the enemies only have one cap left, or the enemies are all balled up into one location, the enemies are going to want to strike out somewhere, right? They are going to want to do that. So you do want to be careful of this. And that's why, you know, you can see on the mini-map here where my allies have really opened up the distance between ourselves and the enemies. And I'm speaking of the allies who are in the north on the east the entire time with me. We push back to this northern point, right? Because there's no more reason for us to be putting pressure on that eastern point at all. As long as we can stay alive and continue to dish out damage, like get good shots in these enemy players and get them gone, we are doing our part in this battle. So that's all I'm looking to do at this point anyway. 4 enemy ships remaining. We can see the Tirpitz that is in front of us. Tirpitz is on very, very low health. We see an enemy battleship off in the distance and an enemy cruiser off in the distance. Now we still do have one enemy destroyer who is unaccounted for as of yet. I can't quite recall when this player makes an appearance. I think the player might make an appearance. I'm not sure. That might... someone ran away in this battle, and it could be that player. But whatever. There we go. Enemy Tirpitz is gone. Fantastic. Now we need to deal with this enemy battleship. It's an enemy Izumo. So my plan here was to get in close. I've got Salazar in front of me. So together, he and I are going to try and ambush this this Izumo as best we can. Now, I say ambush, I'm using like bunny ear quotation mark things, because obviously I am not going to be able to ambush the Tirpitz. There's the last remaining enemy destroyer. Put some shots out on the player. Hopefully, maybe get some shots in. Who knows? But I'm not going to be able to actually ambush the Tirpitz. But what I am going to be able to do is distract, not the Tirpitz, the Izumo. As I'm going to be able to distract the Izumo, so hopefully Salazar, we can see Salazar making the move now, launch one set of torpedoes, and he's going to come around the island and launch the other set. I'm going to pop into the smoke that Salazar has laid now and try and get in close and launch my torpedoes as well to make sure that we can kill this Izumo. The Izumo really is, you know, big threat here, the last big threat on the map. And considering how, I mean, I am on half health, but the Izumo has some amazing guns, right? And with my crazy situation here that I put myself in of going in like this, I really didn't want to incur the wrath of those guns. I just felt as though those guns could delete me, so I'm trying to avoid all of this. So you can see my torpedoes are on the way for the Izumo. We still have our armor piercing loaded up. I'm about to make a pretty crappy mistake here somewhere along the line. I'm trying to pay attention to see when it happens. But anyway, there's the armor piercing loaded up. There we go. For whatever reason, I guess I was confused and I hit number 1 instead of number 2 and loaded up the high explosive. I don't know what was going through my mind. I don't even realize that high explosive is loaded right now. I think armor piercing is coming. I'm thinking, all right, this salvo, I am going to kill this Izumo. Thank God. So, you know, 3 seconds left. Just going to aim in here. Make sure maybe line up a citadel shot. There goes my shots. What? Oh man, what happened? So I didn't quite put it together, but the Izumo died quickly thereafter, so I was like, okay, yeah, alright, whatever, no big deal. Turning now, right? You can see people yelling at me in chat to turn. No, I got this, guys, no big deal. We only have cruiser and enemy destroyer remaining. The enemy destroyer, we last saw that player to the north, and we know the players to the north as well because of the direction that the torpedoes are coming in now. And an enemy Thotgor. Now, the enemy Thotgor is the enemy player who is in C capping this point. So I figured, you know, I wanted to play it safe. Biggest concern, obviously, facing off against the Thotgor is being set on fire. I do have my repair coming off cooldown here in about 9 seconds, so that's pretty good. Not too concerned about that. Because again, in my mind, I'm thinking I have armor piercing loaded up. So I figured, we'll just spot the Thotgor, get some shots into the Thotgor, and maybe we will be fine. Get a citadel, you know, maybe rack up a bit more damage. Sitting on about 85,000 damage now so far this battle. Really wanted to try and get 100,000. So we're going to line up our shots, take our time. Look at the shells going in. The color difference didn't register there. Okay. Missed all those shots. So I figure, alright. Armor piercing is still working it over. Shots are going in. Wait a second, I think to myself. those are yellow. And then one hits and does very little damage. So what? And then suddenly I realized that I had armor piercing, or sorry, high explosive loaded the whole time near the end of this battle. And I was saying this in TeamSpeak, and Salazar was just like, "Yeah, I noticed you were firing. I didn't know what you do, but what you were doing, but I figured you knew what you were doing." It's like, no. No, I had no idea. No sweet clue. Oh well, whatever. Match is over and victory is ours. Still a pretty decent game in the old Tirpitz, and again, really enjoyed it because we had, some teamwork going on in amongst the division. Anyway, 499,000 credits is what I end up making this battle. 3 kills, 86,000 damage, which isn't too bad. Finished second overall in the team, which is not too bad as well. What is that? Over 2,000 base experience, we'll say. So that's pretty great. Always good to see, base experience over 2,000. In terms of how the damage was broken down, we can see some of it here. Most of the damage that I did was to that Kutsov and those Citadel hits that we ended up landing on that player. But obviously we did actually manage to take down the Azuma, which was fantastic. And then in terms of what we walk away with, we do end up walking away with 390,000 credits, 7,100 experience, and about 7,200 commander experience, which isn't too bad. I think now I'm working on the 16th skill for my Tirpitz captain, maybe? Who knows? Anyway, that is it for today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Remember to hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.